What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, we had another town hall in the books. This one's for May 23rd, 2024, and it was a good one in the sense where, you know, the team, Matt's been doing a great job answering a lot of questions in the town hall chat, right, on Discord. So this was more so just presenting a lot of different things, and then Matt actually had a slew of, you know, different topics that he wanted to get into and really talk through. So obviously we're not going to cover everything. For those who are new to the channel or new to the series, every time there's a Splinterlands town hall, I'll go through and just do my 5 biggest takeaways. So the things that jumped out to me the most, and you can see there's a couple of bonus items that I'll just mention at the end. But, you know, for fuller summaries, I think that I saw the team posted an official written summary, and then you have other content creators like Stever, who Stever and BB Omega, shout out to them, who usually do some kind of deep dive into the town halls, and I'm sure there might be others as well. So make sure you go and support them for the full summaries. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing is going to be the May 28th release, which is what we have coming up next week. We are going to get the prefix titles, which is very exciting. There's actually a bunch of quality of life updates as well, but the two big things are the prefix titles that were promised for Land 1.5, as well as some loot chest adjustments. So they're going to decrease the amount of energy that that these chests are dropping. I think the medium and large size one, and then they're also going to increase the batch sizes. I believe they said 3x. So I think the first batch, at least for like the ultimate chest or whatever with the top one is that I bought, you could buy like 100 of them, and then they like reduced it by 90%. So it was just 10 for the batch size. And I think they're going to triple that now to 30, at least for that top tier chest. So, you know, they've gone through, they've been running the numbers, and this is what makes the most sense. So that's where we're at. May 28th should be exciting. I am very curious to see how the prefix titles will impact land overall. But, you know, on the whole, we're just kind of chugging along here. And I don't really know what they have planned for June. You know, Investigator kind of handed it over to Nate to talk about, you know, future stuff that's coming. But there wasn't anything in terms of like, yeah, this is what we're hoping to get out in June. Nate just kind of went down the creative rabbit hole that he does, which is always fun. But, you know, there's just, at this point, I have no idea what to expect for June. Although, you know, I have my theories or my predictions, which I put out in a video that probably came out a couple of weeks ago at this point and might be out of date. But I did get land being right for the month of May. And I think I put the video out at the beginning of May. So far I'm all right on that. And then speaking of which, you'll see later on when we talk about the Rebellion reward cards, hopefully I'll be right on that one as well. But June, we don't know yet. Okay, number 2, Matt was actually very explicit about the team not being in the best financial situation, even with the bull market kind of, you know, picking up. What we've seen, or what we really haven't seen, is pack sales that are going to, you know, that lead us to believe that we're actually going to hit the 1.5 million packs, which again was the conservative estimate that Matt had. And you know, I don't know, maybe some expenses picked up, maybe some unforeseen things came, or whatever the case is. So right now we're not really trending towards that. And I've said before, I'm fairly confident that we will hit it. But that confidence is starting to fade a little bit, mainly because, you know, I thought we'd be further along by now. And granted, there's like still 6 months left in the sale. A lot can change. But at the rate that we're going right now, with sentiment the way that it is, if we were to pick up, well, let's put it this way. If like even the market continues to do decently well, and we've seen, you know, the rest of the crypto market, Bitcoin and all those still doing quite well. If we don't follow that like at all between now and, you know, close to December, I think it could get actually pretty rough. And keep in mind, my expectation is that there's going to be a lot of people that come in and buy up packs towards the end, right? Potentially just to speculate. But I also think that a lot of packs are going to be dumped on the market for super cheap from the secondary once the airdrops are done, the conflicts are done. And that I think goes through until like November. So it really just remains to be seen what will happen over the next couple of months here. But the slower things go, and they are crawling at a snail's pace right now, the less confident that I am about that. Now, the other part of this too is the fact that since DEC is at 75% of peg, or it's below by 25%, the team has to convert that DEC that's paid for these packs into a currency, into US dollars, in order to cover their cost, right? Their expenses. So the longer that DEC stays below peg, which is something that, I don't see changing for the near future. I mean, even the mid future at this point, I just don't see that changing. All of a sudden, not only are pack sales slowed down, but anytime a pack is sold, the team is having to, they're only getting 75% of the value of that, and being able to use that for their expenses. So Matt said that at some point, maybe they would have to approach the DAO, maybe they would have to approach the DAO, or they'd have to approach the Hive DAO as well for support. And he said that would come in the form of obviously some kind of proposal. And my hope would be that it would be some kind of offer that the team is putting out there in terms of like, let's do a promo card, or let's do this, or whatever the case is. And hopefully the community will be a little bit more generous, if I can use that word, in terms of wanting to help the team out, as long as they're getting something for it. I would probably be a little like irked if it was just like hey, this is the team, we're doing a proposal. If you want to keep the lights on, give us a couple $100,000. That would probably not be in the best taste. But again, I don't expect that to happen. If Matt's going to go through the trouble of like writing a proposal, I think it'll be very detailed, and it'll be very explicit on like what they're trying to do to provide value for that and to keep the lights on and all that. So we'll see how that goes. But it's funny because I've spoken with several folks already who have said to me like, if you read between the lines of what Matt's been saying, it seems like he's asking for money from the DAO. And those were conversations that I've been having over the past couple of months. So here we are now at the end of May, and Matt is like straight up asking for it, or saying that they're probably going to need some kind of support. So I don't know what this means. I'm sure all the bears, all the haters are going to jump on that and be like, oh yeah, game's dead. So it is what it is. But we'll have to wait and see how things go, and hopefully the summer ends up being what I'm hoping the summer of 2024 would be. And we'll pick up. Okay, let's talk about the future land expansion. There was a lot of stuff that, Matt had mentioned about, now that we're getting 1.6 or the elements of 1.6 out, the Grain LP prefix titles were probably the two biggest things. I'm sure there were a couple of others that would be nice, like unlocking the Soulbound cards for land. Although, we're probably going to get unlocking of Soulbound cards in the near future anyway. We're trying to figure out what comes next, and there were a couple ideas that I wanted to share with you that were put up on the talked about during the town hall. So the first is to integrate research into more of the game, primarily probably the Glint shop. And the idea here was maybe they offer some kind of promo card, or they offer some kind of whatever that is gated by research. And I don't know why, but I don't like that. Granted, I'm not a big land owner, and even though I have probably more research than a lot of casual landowners, because I hit the jackpot with the keep, it's just I don't know, rubs me the wrong way. I'm not saying that it's wrong. We just have so many things that are gating, and maybe it's the word gating that I don't like, because now this is now like the, I don't know, fourth thing that is supposed to like give you access to future stuff, right? When I first joined in 2021, it was, oh yeah, if you want to get access to all the coolest stuff in the world, it's SPS. You got to buy and own as much SPS as possible. Then the offshoot of that was vouchers, where, okay, if SPS is going to give you vouchers, and vouchers will give you that access. But if you don't want the access, you can sell it. But if somebody wants to come in and pay a ton of money for the vouchers, well, then they get the access, right? And that just became something weird. And then, a year after that, we had Rooney come in, and, Rooney's supposed to be this thing that gets you potentially access to all the cool stuff in the future. And now they're going to put it to research, right? So it's like SPS, nope. Vouchers, nope. Rooney, nope. And now research. And it's just like, there's too many things to support here, and we're just adding more in some ways that I don't know. When that was talked about, I was just like, I would love to see research added in for something, but promo cards is a weird thing for it to be. then again, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's not like I'm gonna buy it anyway, right? People are people are gonna call me out on that. So whatever it is, I don't know. Something about the promo card thing was I don't know, just not in my interest. If there were other things in the Glint shop, I think that would be cool too, right? Like maybe bonuses or benefits in the Glint shop, or maybe like access to certain types of chests or rewards or whatever. And again, maybe, you know, I don't even know if that stuff will be tradable, right? Or if it's soulbound or whatever the case is. I'd like to see more with research. So don't get me wrong. The promo cards thing, I'm probably spending too much time. You guys think I'm probably too far against it. I don't know why. It just caught my attention in that way. The other part of this too is to incorporate more resources. So there's supposed to be several like core resources. So grain, wood, stone, and ore. And at this time, obviously only grain is available. But what Matt was thinking was we could probably get some of the other resources in the mix, right? Wood, stone, and ore, and have those be some kind of requirement for acquiring research. So maybe that means like your research hut needs to have some of these on an ongoing basis. Again, I don't know what that would look like, but I will say this. I think the Land 2.0 white paper is good as just like this model of something that we'll get to at some point, but I would really like to throw it out, right? So, and what I mean by that, not to disrespect all the time that Matt spent on it, but what I mean by that is like, let's not be too rigid on that. We are in the situation that we're in. Land 2.0 right now is not anywhere on the roadmap. It's kind of a pipe dream. I mean, Matt even has said so, right? Where it's just like, that's years away in terms of the team being in a position to get that in its full total vision out. And so therefore it's like, okay, well, let's not be beholden to that. We'll use it as a guide, but if there's certain things that we can do, getting some new resources in, I think even getting buildings would be kind of cool as well. Again, what are those buildings going to do? I don't know, but just let people start doing stuff with their buildings, right? Maybe some people take advantage, maybe some people don't, but it's just like, you can start. People are excited about land. Some folks are still excited about land, right? So give them an opportunity to continue building up, and especially with the resources. What will be nice is then you'd have a ton of trading going on, right? And with all that trading, you're getting people earning DEC from the fees. You're getting DEC fees getting burned. You're getting people who require more grain now because they're choosing to go for wood, stone, or ore since they need it, or they'd have to buy it. And then on top of that, grain either goes up in value, or if people don't want to pay for it, then they'll just go and turn more land on, which will take up more DEC out of the market, and stake it on land, which will take up more cards off the market, staked on land. So all of that is fantastic. And the problem, well, I shouldn't say the problem. The only reminder that I'll put out here is that these are all ideas still. And considering the fact that there's still a lot on the team's plate in terms of adjusting the what's that called? Or it's not adjusting, but like unlocking the Soulbound reward cards and, the Rebellion reward cards, having that come out. We'll talk about that in a second. With that being a big project, with the onboarding and tutorial thing being a big project, with one-click set rentals being a big project, all of that stuff still needs to come out. And so, that video that I put out a couple of weeks ago or whenever it was, I kind of had a game plan of releases in the most ideal timeline for the team, including all that stuff to come out by the end of July, roughly, right? So my hope is that we would get maybe something, whatever next thing would be in August. But, there we go with the Y's again. But the problem is, if it's still in idea form, I don't know how much, basically what I'm trying to say is, if it's still an idea form, they need to finalize the concepts behind it. And, Matt has been pretty public about the fact that, as a game designer, he's getting bogged down with a lot of the running, day-to-day running the business stuff. So I hope he has time to still do what he loves, which is designing the game. But, if we have to deal with that, we have to get everything else out. I don't know where the team's capacity is to start all this stuff. August actually seems a lot closer than people realize, right? Think about it this way. I know we're in May, so it's 2.5 months. And so with everything else that's on their plates that they're trying to accomplish, I'm almost thinking like this has got to be something that's maybe Q4 at the earliest for Land. Now, that being said, I do want to give props and kudos to the team for talking about certain things and then getting those out relatively quickly. And I'm namely talking about the ranked updates and the reward updates, right? So they talked about that early on in the year in January, and we're able to get that to us within 2.5 months, right? By the end of March, or actually we got one at the beginning of March, which was the ranked update. And then the rewards update we got at the beginning of April. So that's like a, less than 2 to 3 month range there, which is kind of the range that we're in now. But I don't think they had as many huge projects between here and there, right? And again, I'm talking about the Rebellion reward cards, unlocking the and all the new player experience stuff before they can get to all that Land stuff. So we'll have to wait and see how things go, but I'm looking forward to it no matter what. Okay, number 4, skins and cosmetics being upgradable. So I probably should have expanded upon this a little bit more in writing, but skins and cosmetics, it seems like the team is finally coming around to figuring out a way to reincorporate these back into the ecosystem. And they don't want to do it just in the old style where, there was a couple of things here and there. They want to have some kind of cool things where maybe you can combine them, maybe they're upgradable, maybe they do things, right? In a previous Town Hall 5 Biggest Takeaways, I did talk about this where there was a fantastic idea, and I gave the example of like Oshawnis, right? Where maybe you buy this skin, and if you, this Oshawnis skin, and if you put it on, it adjusts the stats, right? So it gives him maybe a +1 magic, but it takes away 1 health, right? And so that's like an augmentation that you could do, which would be awesome because then your Oshawnis is different from the standard one. And maybe there's another skin for Oshawnis that, that adds 1 health, but takes away a speed or something like that. Right. So all of a sudden it adds way more diversity to the game. Way more individuality, right? Where it's just like, you know what? I want my Oshawnis beefed up, right? He doesn't need to be so fast, but I want him beefed up. I want him to get to that 12 health or whatever it is. So I think the team is thinking about this in the right way. Again, similar to Land, it's just an idea form right now, but they are starting to crowdsource ideas, which is great because I think the community has a lot of fantastic ideas. When does this stuff come out? I have no idea. Again, I'm going to put it in that August, September timeframe, hopefully along with Land. Like this is all the stuff that'll come after what we've been, kind of expecting for the last couple of months already. So if that's the case, I think that adds a lot of value, but I do wonder / worry about the supporting of more assets in the ecosystem. Now, again, I'm not against adding new assets to the ecosystem if they're cool and desirable and people want them. And at the end of the day, if these are going to be hopefully demand driven rather than supply driven, right? So, especially if they're going to be available through like the Glint shop or something like that would be really cool. I don't know if the team would be selling them, but if they did, right, hopefully it wouldn't be something like the team's just trying to push a bunch of stuff out there, right? And obviously Matt's been fantastic about that. They're not even like pushing Rebellion packs out. So it would just be something that's available. People can buy it and, it adds some kind of unique flavor to the game. I'd be all for that. But, a lot of that's gonna take time to design out, to figure out, obviously to develop, and then of course just do balancing, right, to see if that stuff is going to impact the game more than it should. But I am excited for that because I think that could add way more variety to the game in a way that would be better than Land. So yeah, I know that's a little blasphemous, but I was big on like the items and spells, but just to get to items and spells, that seems like so far away. I've said this before. I've always been a big believer that the core of Splinterlands, the project, is always going to be the trading card game. Land is always going to be a supplement for this. And you can even see that the team is kind of admitting that. I mean, obviously, if Land can become its own thing, then that would be great. But at this time, it's about focusing on the main game and the trading card game or Auto Battler. And so if they can find ways to spice it up, add variety, make it interesting, I'm all for that, right? Because a lot of that stuff can potentially add in a ton of value to the ecosystem just by making it a more entertaining place to play where people just want to collect. Collectors come in, people who like to play come in, and it's like, hey, everybody's got a maxed Oceanus, but what did you choose for your Oceanus, right? Which skin did you choose? Because you can, obviously you can mix and match and switch them out, but not within the same battle, right? So it does make for a lot more variety. And I'm the more I think about it, the better I think this idea is, because there's so much complaining about the meta right now, right? Where it's just like, oh man, it's just, if everybody has the same max deck, then you default towards either, this or this whenever these rule sets come up. And I think being able to like augment cards in a way, and I'm going to use that word, augment, I think it'd be really fun, because then it's just like, well, everybody doesn't have the same cards. Even though everybody has max cards, everybody doesn't have the same cards, right? Like you could augment, choose to do that +1 magic, but -1 health, right? But maybe that ends up being your detriment, because that one extra health would have won you the game. So something like that, right? Where it's just, it adds spice and variety. So, okay, I spent way too long on that. Let's wrap this up, because, oh yeah, we're already 20 minutes. So the last one here, new Rebellion reward cards are planned to come in over the summer. They don't have a date yet, and they don't want to give a date, even though summer, I guess, was roughly what Matt has been saying. So there's nothing new here in terms of information, in terms of timing. No summoners is, I guess, some new information that we have. They said that Rebellion is already very summoner heavy. There was 5 additional summoners that were included compared to Chaos Legion, so they're not going to have any summoners, but the size will be roughly the same. And, Matt has heard people talking about staggering the release. I've talked about that extensively here. I'm a big fan of it, but he said that there's not a plan for it. So I was thinking about doing a video where I talk through a potential plan, but I think, to Matt's point, there's no way that we can do a staggered release without it being equal or less work than what the team is already intending to do. And so if he's trying to reduce the amount of work, staggering is just not going to cut it. So as much as I'd like to see that, just to keep the game fresh, maybe I'll still do a video. Let me know if you guys want me to talk through like my idea for that in a little bit more detail. But at this point, that's what it is. In terms of Chaos Legion Soulbound reward cards being unlockable, that is going to happen at probably about the same time, if not the same time exactly. The cost still hasn't been decided yet, but here was the cool thing. Matt talked about the fact that he wanted it to be time limited. So it would only last for a certain period of time where you could go in and unlock those cards. And then after that, that's it, right? They're no longer available in the Glint shop, and they're no longer, unlockable. So if you had them in your account and you didn't unlock them, then it's like, ugh. So in that way, I think it could actually be a huge DEC burn, because even for someone like me, right? Let's just say, even for someone like me who has all intentions of keeping these cards for the long term, I don't know if we get into some crazy kind of bull run in the future, right? Like maybe I want to unlock my cards, right? Maybe I want to unlock them just in case I do want to sell them at some point. I have the optionality of doing that, right? Or even more so, let's say I'm collecting a bunch of extras. This is probably more relatable. Let's say I'm collecting a bunch of extras that I have right now. If I didn't have a time limit, then I could just leave them there until the value shot up or it seemed appropriate for me to go and actually unlock them. But now if it's only a limited time, and I don't think it's going to be a short amount of time, I would expect like 6 months maybe, right? So if it happens over the summer, you'd probably have until the end of the year. Again, this is just a guess. Then, obviously you'd still be able to see how the market reacts, but there would be a time limit there. And as we got close to the end of the time limit, whenever that is, right? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, all of a sudden I'd be like, do I want to hedge my bets? Do I want to burn this DEC in order to unlock this card or these cards? Yes, right? And I'm sure I'm going to feel that way. I'm sure many others will feel that way too. So we'll see how that plays out. I do like the time limited aspect of it, and I think that'll create a little bit of buzz. Okay, so that is the 5 things. Let's go through the bonus items. I didn't want this to be a big thing because I don't think it's a big thing, but the bot farm that, essentially got a ton of rewards out of the ecosystem was confirmed to be a team member. So shout out to Tales from the Cryptmancer, because he did some fantastic detective work. He made a great video, so make sure you go check that out, support his channel. Great video, kind of diving deep, going, perusing on the blockchain and really just tracking down these rewards for that account. I think it was like David Jazz or something like that. And so, he kind of had suspicions that it was a team member. On the town hall, he asked Matt directly, and Matt was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I believe in transparency. So, yes, it was a team member. And part of the suspicion of it being a team member was the fact that they returned a lot of the rewards. So here's the thing. I know many people might not agree with me on this. I don't think nothing, as Matt said, nothing wrong was done. This person, whoever they were, I think, and again, I'm not here to like throw out names, and you can go find it on your own. I personally don't have a relationship with this person. I don't know them. They're on the team, but I don't know them. I've never spoken with them. Right. So, the reason I say that is because people will be like, oh yeah, you're just like defending the team, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I don't even like this person. Right. Like I've never met them. So I have no reason to sit here and defend them. Right. My whole point is that if you look at it just purely objectively from a rules perspective, they played within the rules of the ecosystem, of which we know the rules are not fantastic, and they got rewarded heavily for staying engaged, right? I mean, literally just staying engaged, running their bot farm and doing all that stuff. And then after it happened, they gave the stuff back, right? So I think it would be not worth our time to make a mountain out of a molehill here. And if anything, this happening with very minimal, and I know people are going to look at that and say, well, it's not minimal repercussions. He gave, or she, whatever it is, gave a bunch of the rewards back, right? So I'm going to say that it's minimal repercussions. It allowed the team to figure out how to handle that appropriately, right? So they changed the Glint shop, parameters very quickly, right? Reduced a lot of things just to make sure. But I also wonder how much that was a driving force in Matt coming out and being like, yeah, we need to do something about the bot farms, right? And this is somebody who was on the team. Matt knows them personally, right? And is still saying we need to do something about the bot farms. So before you come out and be like, oh, they're just, it's all just an inside job, whatever. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. I think, Matt is understanding just how rampant this stuff is and how dangerous it's been. And to be honest, I don't think, there was never really a move outside of the bot ban in Modern last year that I just don't think this would have happened under Aggie. And I'm not trying to throw shade at Aggie. I think Aggie was just not focused on it, right? And we didn't really see, we weren't able to impress upon him how devastating it was. And maybe that's because he was always excited about other things, which is fine. Again, I'm not here to throw shade at Aggie. I'm just saying that Matt, I think, has been much more open to the idea. And the reason I'm saying this is you go back to the bot ban, which is the proposal for that was roughly a year ago, right? April, May. And it was Matt that came in and said, hey, I don't really agree with the bot ban, but why don't we try it in Modern? Since you guys are really for it, why don't we try it in Modern, right? So I think Matt has been a little bit more open to the idea of really taking a strong analysis and shutting it down. And now here we are at a point where he's just like, yeah, okay, it's not just exploitation. It's not just this and that. It's not just whatever. Like, we need to find something that makes the game sustainable in the long run, because it's just not if you don't add that wild season pass. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Again, I don't think that, yes, it was a big deal, but in retrospect, I think it is not worth our time to make it a bigger deal than it was. I don't think anything wrong was done. And I think the person who did the quote unquote exploit, which, I mean, maybe it is an actual exploit, right? Is somebody who literally works for the team and still wants the longevity of this game, if not anything for their job, right? So everybody's still paddling in the same direction. We're all still on the same team here. So again, that's all I'm going to say on that, but I'm sure people will have different ideas. The other thing, too, is there's a partnership, according to Matt, in the works. And I'm surprised he even mentioned anything, because he was very meta recognizing about this, or he's just like, yeah, we've talked about a lot of partnerships in the past that never really worked out. So I don't really like to talk about partnerships, but there's one that's in the works. And, it seems like it could be beneficial. So I don't know what that is. Feel free to start speculating. But that's all that we heard about it right now. And then finally, the town halls are changing now to once a month. So instead of every week, we got to every 2 weeks. Now we're going from every 2 weeks to once a month. I believe it's going to be on the third Thursday of every month, which means that for the people that just tune into this channel for these 5 biggest takeaways, I'm going to see you all even less. These videos tend to do the best on the channel by far. And so I'm sure there's a bunch of folks who literally only tune in for the Town Hall channel. So if that's you, then I appreciate you being here. And thank you for being here. And I guess I won't see you for another month. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.